The 100,000 children are trafficked in the U.S. every year. It is estimated in 2014 that the commercial sex economy in the United States in 8 U.S. cities profited $39.9 million, up to $290 million, and that's just in 8 cities. And a trafficker could earn an average of $32,833. So we know that sex trafficking is a very profitable business in the United States, with United States victims. It is who are mostly women and children, are trafficked for sex in the United States.
So often people ask me how big this problem is, and how big is it in the world, in the state, in Santa Clara County. And that's a really fair question. There are a lot of statistics out there trying to measure this crime, but what I always come back to and what I always think about is that this is an underground industry, and we can identify suspects and defendants that we have investigated and prosecuted in court. I can tell you the number of victims we've identified or how many commercial sex workers we've encountered in our investigations. But at the end of the day, to arrive at a estimate, it's really challenging. And really, the most important thing is any exploitation is too much. One victim is too much, and that's what we really focus on. And this is a crime that we want to address and rid our community of, regardless of what the number is. And there are several risk factors, though, that while anybody is at risk for being trafficked, there are specific risk factors. And like I mentioned earlier, it's prior physical or sexual abuse, coming from a broken home, not having the kind of attention or being neglected by one's parents. Oftentimes we see kids that are in the juvenile justice system or in the dependency system being at risk for human trafficking. And then on the labor side, if you don't speak English, are new to this country, don't really understand how the laws work, you can be at risk for being taken advantage of in the workplace. And so we like to focus on those risk factors and how we can make sure that the populations that are most at risk receive the most support.
According to Polaris Hotline and its report, California has the highest number of reported cases, followed by Texas, then Florida, then New York. In this past year, up until 2016 of December, there were 1,012 cases reported in California alone. And those are just cases that are reported. We know that there are many other cases happening, but these are the ones that have been reported to Polaris.
In Uganda, you find that everyone out of 3 has been trafficked, and the traffickers are very cunning. They get you anywhere, through a friend, through a neighbor, through a company that's been advertised by the government, allowed to advertise by the government. So you find that most of the people right now in Uganda are running out of the country, seeking greener pastures. When you look at human trafficking, it is a trade that is illegal, but having a lot of profits. You find that a trafficker will earn close to a tune of $20.9 billion in a year. So this trade is illegal, but one of the most profitable ones after drug trafficking. And the people who have been trafficked, for example, I'll give you an example. A woman in Uganda will be bought at $100, and later on, that is, your whole life has been sold away for $100. And in the end, you are working for $100 every hour. Take an example. If this woman is supposed to work for 8 hours, the trafficker is earning $800 from this woman per day. So each hour is $100. Yet your whole life has been sold away for only $100. So the business is really illegal, and it is calling for a lot of profit for those in the business. I'll give you a case of Karamoja. Karamoja has had a lot of cases of trafficking. Why? Because of the insurgency that happened in Karamoja in the recent past. The communities have been made vulnerable to the extent that they hate staying in their own homes, because what they called home in the past is no longer home. So many of them have come downtown to Kampala, for instance, seeking for better employment. You find that in Uganda, we have so many companies advertising for better jobs and better placements of jobs, especially in the Arab countries. What happens? All the graduates think because we don't have employment in Uganda, we can find a job somewhere else. These have gone ahead to do all it takes, to the extent of selling property, selling houses, selling cattle, selling plots of land to get money for the visa, work on their passports, and they leave the country. So from Kampala, someone is taken straight away to Nairobi or any other exit route, and they're being trafficked. So trafficking has no boundaries. It can get you anywhere. For as long as you fall prey to the traffickers, you'll be a victim to trafficking. I will give you a case of the trafficking that is happening around us, and it is very common. In every homestead in the towns, you find a maid, and this is a modern slave. This is a girl who wakes up so early in the morning and goes to bed so late. She does a lot of work at a meager pay. In all homes, especially in Uganda, we do not have a law that stipulates how much a maid should get. This is a girl or a boy who will be working so hard, getting little, and his or her social being is not being catered for by the home. So you find that this person continues that kind of life, and in the end, some have lost hope. So in case they fall prey to someone who promises them a better job as a housemaid in another country, trust me, they will fall victims to the traffickers.